before we do, this is a little bit different. The last one's a little bit different. Don't go anywhere though. So Courtney Sembler, she is actually on an airplane right now. So she's not dialing in, but we have her here because she's going to actually be able to share. She went so far. She pre-recorded this thing for us. So I'm going to bring that on stage so that she can share her wisdom. But don't think that that just means, oh, I'm going to alt tab, I'm going to go do something else and then catch the recording later. Because the thing is, we're watching your questions and all of us are sitting here participating. So we're going to be collaborating through this process. And those questions are going to be collected later. And then Kate is going to do a special session with Courtney afterwards. Not today, because she's on a plane right now, but that's what she's going to do. So if you aren't familiar with Courtney, she's a senior team manager over at Hubspot, and she's doing their global content for everybody. She loves helping people. Courtney's an awesome person. I would highly recommend following her along with Sue and Kara if you haven't already. But I'm going to play this video on stage, and then I will be back on the other side. But they said it takes a minute. So let's see what
Courtney
happens.
Sembler from HubSpot Academy. And I'm so excited to be coming to you today at this great conference to talk about microlearning, and more specifically for this session, how HubSpot Academy develops modular-based training and how you can as well. We're going to go through a lot of different things today, but ultimately, all of us are here to think and talk about microlearning and how we can be using it for our customers and our leads, and ultimately creating great educational experiences for our end learners. So today we have a few intentions. And the first intention is we're just going to summarize the value of modular-based content for your organization, your customers, and your leads. We're going to identify a few frameworks, and we're going to walk through a few examples of how to build modular-based content to help your organization ultimately grow better. At HubSpot, we talk a lot about growing better as really the core of what we do. So that's why we're going to root today's session into how can you use modular-based content to help your learners and ultimately your business grow. But before we dive in, I want to first get everyone warmed up in the chat. Today is going to be interactive. You have the opportunity to engage in the chat as well as throw emojis in when you're getting excited about some of the content. And so what I'd like you to do is get started, get to know a few of the other attendees here. And what I'd love to know is what educational content have you consumed recently? Maybe it was learning about how you're going to go remote or continue to operate in a hybrid world. Maybe it was exploring new skills, or maybe it was how to bake banana bread. Whatever it is, throw it into the chat and maybe talk about where you consumed it as well. Was it on YouTube? Were you learning through Coursera or maybe even HubSpot Academy? Throw it in there and see what comes up. And I urge you to connect with folks afterwards as well to learn more about what they're learning and how they're learning it. But let's dive in. So today we're going to talk about a few different things. We're going to talk about what modular content is. We're going to talk about the framework for modular content creation. We're going to pull it all together, and then we're going to talk about some resources. So we're really going to dive in here and get to know a little bit more about modular content, some frameworks to use, and how you can start building modular content after this session for your end learners and customers. But first things first, I'd like to get to know you a little bit better, and I'd like to introduce myself. So my name is Courtney Sembler. I'm a almost 7-year HubSpotter. I'm actually currently on my HubSpot sabbatical. So after 5 years, I get a month off to do whatever I want. And unfortunately for me, like many HubSpotters, that came during COVID. So I'm taking it about 2 years late. But I'm currently in Whistler, Canada, where I'm kicking off a month-long ski adventure. But I'm really excited to talk about modular content today with you because for the last almost 7 years, I've been working at HubSpot really focused on our customers and how learning can help them grow better in our organization and with our products and services. So my main role at HubSpot is I'm the senior team leader for our HubSpot Academy team. We develop educational content and experiences in 6 different languages and multiple different formats. We use modular-based content as the root of everything that we do. So a lot of the examples I'm going to share today are going to be based on how HubSpot Academy does it. Prior to HubSpot, I started my career in the environmental nonprofit space, which was really exciting. And I try to tie that into all the work that I do today. If you do want to connect with me, please do so after this session. I'd love to talk to you about your content creation and more about HubSpot Academy as well. So let's dive in. A little bit more about HubSpot Academy if you're unfamiliar with us. We do offer online training for inbound marketing, sales, and customer service professionals. We really specialize in certifications as well as singular topic courses and short lessons for professionals looking to grow their career and business. The reason I bring this up and ground us in here, these different formats that I'm going to talk about today are really based in that modular content, certifications, as well as topic courses. So we're going to talk a little bit about them. If you're curious, the foundation of all that HubSpot Academy does is about helping HubSpot customers grow better. That's really our end goal in every piece of content that we put out there, as well as for the additional learners around the globe that are learning with us. We do have our very own HubSpot Academy learning management system. It is built by HubSpot, and a lot of the examples you're going to see today are pulled from this format. We have a catalog of over 600 lessons, most of them available in at least one other language besides English. This is just a snapshot of what it looks like. If you haven't explored it yet, I highly encourage you to do so. It is a free portal. You don't need anything but an email address to get started. So something that I do want to get us kind of continuing on with that chat, just keep the conversation going, is as we start to talk about modular-based content, I'd really love to know what's something you hope to learn today about modular content, and what type of online learning do you and your team produce today, or are you hoping to produce? Start to talk about this with folks in the chat. Give me the thumbs up, give me the heart emoji, whatever you're feeling about some of the things you hope to learn about modular content today as we dive in. So let's get started with some basic definitions around what modular content means. There's a lot of different ways in which we can describe micro learning as well as modular content. And there's a lot of buzzwords that sort of float around in our industry of customer education. So I'm going to ground us into what I mean when we think about modular content. Modular content, or atomic design, as it's sometimes known, is the process of creating modules of content to be assembled in any different way for that the user requires. Really what this means is when we think about modular content, we think that we want to be able to explore the different ways in which a user may require that content. So maybe they need it in a longer format, maybe they need a smaller format. There's a bunch of different ways that the content can be assembled because of the way it's created. So when we think about that for HubSpot Academy, what we mean, there we go. For HubSpot Academy, modular content is a collection of our learning resources, and they're developed with a single learning object. Each learning object functions like a building block, independent and self-contained, but can be paired with other modules to make up certifications and courses. So what this means for us is a modular piece of content for us is a standalone piece of content. It can be used totally independently, and it is, but it can be paired with other learning objects to kind of build a bigger thing, which is really why it connects so well with microlearning. Because the way that we think about it is we want to be able to deliver large certification courses to our learners about SEO or how to use our Marketing Hub products. However, that can start from a very small question from a learner, such as, how do I connect my email address? How do I send a workflow? What is inbound marketing? And so those smaller components, those self-contained elements, those learning resources can become really the micro experience that we then build into the larger experience. And so when we think about it from HubSpot Academy, this is sort of the example that we like to use. So we have blog posts, examples, knowledge-based articles, videos. These are all learning objects, and they're small and self-contained. An individual video might talk about how inbound marketing applies to a specific industry. However, we can then add those learning objects, those micro experiences, into lessons, which is sort of our larger format here. And these lessons might have a larger objective that we're trying to accomplish. Maybe it's not just about how to get started with email marketing, but it's about how email marketing applies to the inbound methodology and how you're going to use it using the HubSpot tools. And all of those different lessons can make up a larger certification course. In our case, that might mean those 4 lessons cover a wide variety of how to use email marketing. We're going to certify someone in being an email marketing expert. So when we start to talk about modular learning and sort of how we build it, this is really where we want to get started from, which is modular content in our case really starts with the smallest asset, the micro piece. And we can then build it into larger pieces to make up something that is very comprehensive for the learner. So modular content is really important for 3 main reasons. The first is it allows you to do customization at scale. So when you think about all the different things you want to produce for your end learners, your end customers, there's a lot. And if you were to do it customized every single time, you'd never be able to get enough content out there to really serve the market. But by building in a modular way, you can really maximize the amount of content you want to put out there for learners and do it at customization at scale. So, what I mean by that is, let's take this example. I have a bunch of different blog posts about email marketing for a variety of different industries, which I can pull into a lesson for that specific industry, and maybe it becomes a part of that certification course. Again, that micro piece becomes really beneficial, and I can swap that out. Maybe I have a bunch of different examples for a different industry and I can add that in there. The second reason is repurposed content just enables your content catalog to grow. We all have so many different things that we want to do and different ways we want to serve our learners. So we really want to root ourselves down into how can we do this in a scalable way for our teams, for our businesses, and our organizations. The third, which is it does have benefits for being able to localize your content into other languages and formats. So even if you're only creating content maybe in German or French or English, you haven't explored additional languages yet, that's okay. Because you might in the future, so this is a great way to get started with this framework. But B, you might be able to take that content and bring it into another format. Modular content is really helpful because you have these small elements. You have a blog post, a video that is standalone and can be converted into other formats. Take, for example, a video that you have on a very specific topic inside of a larger lesson or certification course. You can take that transcript, turn it into a blog post, turn it into a podcast, turn it into different types of content. So again, the benefits aren't just for localization, even though they're definitely there, but it also has eligibility for other formats. I will touch on quickly the reason why it's so important for localization is because when you send out content to be localized, typically you're sending out in these huge big files, these big formats. And when you're working with vendors or internal localization teams, can be a lot to handle. If you're able to get that smaller and send them off in small chunks, again, it has that same kind of goal from the top, which is that you're able to repurpose it, but you're also able to get it back a lot faster. If you're in the chat and you're like, oh my gosh, Courtney, I haven't even thought about localization, no worries. Throw some questions in there. I'm happy to answer them at a later time as well. If you have thought about localization, maybe you're actively localizing content, throw into the chat how you're doing it. How are you using the different video formats? What are some challenges that you're having or learnings that you can share with the group? As we move through here, I do want to talk about framework because when we think about modular content, you really need to give something to your content creators. Maybe it's you, maybe it's members of your team to start to create in this modular way. And that really comes down to having a very strong framework. There's important reasons and really rounding down into why it's important to have a framework, which is it enables multiple instructional designers, educators, or content creators to develop consistency in your content by enabling them with the same framework. Think about being able to give them basically a blueprint for how you want to think about modular content and then letting all of them create content at the same time. It does support localization efforts at scale as well, because you can really work with those localization teams or folks that are going to create that content in the other language. And it's the same thing. They have the same sort of starting point to move forward. And it creates consistency. I can't stress this enough, but when it comes to modular content, consistency is so important because when they are engaging with your content, and maybe you bring one element from one lesson and another element from another lesson, but if it's all built using the same framework, it's going to feel the same. It's going to have that same language as well as authenticity so that when they're exposed to it, they have no idea that they're kind of being pulled together because they're able to bring it from that same lens. So the learning framework that we use at HubSpot Academy that I highly encourage you to look into, explore, is the why, how, what framework. And it does come from Simon Sinek, which is the golden circle is what he talks about, which is people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And we take that same principle in developing a learning experience for your content. So the first on the left-hand side is the why, the outcome, the objective expected from the learner that is going to take action. They want to know why it's important. For example, at the top of this, we talked about why modular content is important. We talked about how it can help you in your business. And that brings us to our second, which is how. The how is always going to be the best practices or the approach to follow to achieve the outcome. This might show up in What are 3 best practices for creating a great email? Or how do you go about implementing this specific strategy? And the last is the what. The what is always going to be the steps needed to complete the best practices. This could be a product tutorial or maybe a services tutorial. It could be something very actionable, whereas someone that is going to go through the content is able to say, all right, here are my steps. This is what I kind of do from here. And the reason this framework is really impactful for modular based training is the why really acts as the most critical piece of modular content. The why is something that you're probably going to talk about time and time again. A good example from HubSpot Academy is we start a lot of our lessons with why is inbound marketing important? Why is inbound and the flywheel process going to help you grow your business? And having a clear understanding of why a concept is key can be used in multiple assets across your catalog and can often be the most repurposed of your content. If you think about it, why is email marketing important? Could be the start of many different modular based content, can really be that consistency you pull in. So, what I would encourage you to think about with modular content in this why is what's something that you explain a lot? Because that brings us to our how, which is how will always be the contextual part of what you're teaching. This is the section of your learning that's going to be very short, very actionable for your learners, and it may not be repurposed. However, in the how, it's really what pulls these pieces together, which is why is something important? How is it important in this context? And then lastly, excuse me, there was another build there. There we go. There we go with the what. The what is going to be the shortest piece of content, and it's often going to be the product or service tutorial or going to be the short steps to get something done, clicking here, going here. And this can often be changed out using that how. So if the how is changing, then the what can really be repurposed. There's a lot in here. And this is why we use this why, how, what framework. When we think about building modular content, we want to talk about why something is important, how it's going to be accomplished, and what the steps are to complete it. But those 3 components can be used in a variety of different formats. In addition, the reason why this framework can be so important is because you can separate all 3 of those. Why something is important can stand alone. How something can be contextualized is also important and can stand alone. And same with the what. And so, not just from a repurposing standpoint, but also from adding it to emails or different areas, you're really getting at that micro learning piece for a learner. Maybe they're only interested in learning about the why today. Maybe that's all they need to get to. That's okay. You have that in a modular piece of content. Because remember, these are all going to be separate entities, which is what we're going to walk through here in a second. So when we look about pulling all of these things together, we want to kind of bring them all to the forefront, which is we're going to ground everything in learning objectives. If you're in the chat, I want you to raise your hand, throw an emoji out, get excited if you use and set learning objectives. They're the most powerful piece of your educational experience for your end learners because it tells the learner, your prospect, your lead, your customer, where they're going, what they will achieve, and it sets them up for success. An example learning objective that I've added here is the learner will be able to describe the importance of email marketing and distinguish what makes an inbound email marketing strategy. Again, those highlighted words, describe, distinguish, they do come from Bloom's taxonomy. If you know what Bloom's taxonomy is, maybe you use it in your day. Again, I want to hear it. I want to see it in the chat. Get excited about it because it really can be such a powerful thing when thinking about modular content and micro learning. Because when you want to get to the specific, the bottom piece here, these verbs can really help you do that. Are you trying to define something for them, label it, list it, name it, or do you want them to be creating it, composing it, planning? There's a lot of different words in here that really help us get to why is something important and how are we going to get the learner there. So let's go back to our example here. We've talked a little bit about modular content. You kind of see these different blocks, and we've talked about how these blue boxes at the top, or excuse me, if you are colorblind, the ones that are along the top, blog posts, examples, knowledge docs, and videos, these are going to be the smallest assets, right? These are going to be sort of that micro piece. And they're going to build out these lessons in the middle, these boxes in the middle, and then they're going to build into maybe a larger certification course. So let's take a look and focus on how one lesson would be created using modular content. So this is our example. Along the left-hand side is actually a HubSpot Academy lesson pulled directly from our catalog. So if you do want to go check it out and sort of see how this manifests. And what you can see is these orange check marks, or again, these circles with the check mark in them that sort of bring us along. Again, Each one of these can stand alone. So that at the top we have, why do you need a qualification framework? Again, 4-minute video, it's independent from everything else. We then go into the how. In this case, we have a few different hows. Each of them can also live independently and be pulled out. And then lastly, we have the what, which is, how do you end an exploration call? This, in this case, is actually a product tutorial. It does include some of the pieces of the HubSpot software. And of course, lastly, this is a learning module. So we do have a quiz. Make sure we're doing that knowledge check. But again, when we think about building this type of content, we're able to say, why is something important? How is it important? And what does it actually look like? And those are all independent assets. They could be pulled into other pieces of content, like we've talked about from repurposing, or they're just able to be consumed independently from the learner. Maybe they only get through one video or 1 or 2 videos. That's okay. We've sort of built it with that in mind. And again, each of these videos can be used in other content. So you're really building on that catalog and you're able to expand it, continue to keep it going. So what I want to talk about is, what are you going to do after this session? Because the goal here is for you to go build modular-based content for your learners. And I have 3 recommended steps here, which is, the first is, I want you to perform an audit. Go and review the current content you have and see areas of opportunity. Maybe you have a ton of blog posts on a specific topic, or you have a few of these videos that are just kind of rolling around. You don't really know how to do them. Then I want you to think about evaluating objectives. Evaluate core objectives you're seeking to provide for the learners. Go back and use Bloom's taxonomy. Are you hoping they can create something, define something, name something? And then I want you to launch modular-based content. This can be adding more, you can create some, or it might be repurposed from the audit above. This can also be live or on demand. Modular-based content doesn't always have to be on-demand content. The framework why, how, what can still be really powerful. However, I do see it being extremely beneficial if some of this content is recorded and can be repurposed at other times. I know we just went through a lot. We're at like 21 minutes. This was really quick, but what additional questions do you have? What I want you to do is, I want you to add them into the chat. I've got some lovely folks that are going to pull them out, and we're going to do a follow-up with some of those answers as well. So please add them in there. Get excited about them. I'd love to hear what questions you have about modular-based content. I did want to provide a few resources. The first list here is 6 resources from HubSpot Academy: training skills, content marketing, business blogging. There's 2 ways to review this content. The first is, you can take a look at how we build modular-based content. There's actually repurposed content between the top 3 here. The second is, there are some tools here at the bottom: service tools, conducting a content audit, and a blog example of how this can be really used in the different content that you're looking for, and take a look at some of those tools to support you there. The second additional resources that I have is, check out the certification courses from HubSpot Academy. They're fantastic. Our educators are doing a wonderful job of adding new content to the library. I also highly recommend checking out ATD. There's a lot of learning design content here about modular-based content. There's some really interesting things there. And of course, 7 Taps is an unbelievable resource for anything that you've got going on. I'd also love to hear from you on HubSpot Academy if you want to engage with fellow learners. And because I was given permission to say this, HubSpot Academy is also hiring. We are looking to bring on 22 new team members this year. We've got folks that are going to be instructional designers, managers, senior managers, content editors. I cannot tell you the amount of people we are looking for in a variety of different ways. We're actively hiring for a learning development specialist, as well as looking for a senior manager for the team. So if you are interested, please do let me know. I would love to hear from you on any of those open roles and interest from yourself. I really appreciate you spending the last 20 some odd minutes with me talking about modular-based content. I cannot thank 7 Taps enough for having me. I really appreciate it. And I cannot wait to hear more and learn more about your questions. If you do have questions for me, add them in the chat and we'll catch up later. Thank you again so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, with all of those emojis, she's going to feel it on the plane. So keep them going. Give it up for Courtney. So because she's going to watch the recording, she's going to see all of this. And I'm going to start bringing people back on stage as we close it out. Because if you didn't see the chat, that was our final session. We are going to wrap things up here. But that doesn't mean it's over, because you want to stick around, because I've got one more Oculus to give away. But as I do, I'm going to bring up our guests on stage. We also have a little bit more magic to do. But let me get to the last prize here. So let me share my screen with the wheel of incredible prizes. And let's see, get your I'm here ready now. That was actually absolutely hilarious when everybody started typing I'm here in the chat. I didn't realize everybody was going to take it seriously. So, all right, here we go. I'm going to, oh, wrong screen. And get your I'm here's ready. Let's see what we got. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. Are you here? Let's see it.
Here you go. Where did he go?
Oh. If it wasn't your name, you might want to hang out. I'm not seeing I'm here. Come on, Penny.
Come on, Penny.
All right. 5 seconds,
No.
and then I'm going to roll it again. You still have a chance. Okay. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Spin again. Spin again. Spin again. Oh. Sharon, are you with us? This is getting intense. This is kind of like the last event. We had to do this a few times. I know everybody wants to. Come on, Susie.
Susie's not Sharon. No.
No. All right. Okay. See everybody. You tap your fingers because we got to spin again. All right. Same initials. I don't think we're going to accept same initials.
Nah.
Number three. Oh, Janet. Are we going to have to go for round 4? Oh my goodness. I think we might have to move on again.
Janet.
All right. We're going again. We're going to keep spinning. Yeah, Janet's on another planet. Elizabeth. Come on. Oh, no, wait, different Elizabeth. Not any Elizabeth.
No, not that Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Gray is like just about smashing her head on the keyboard, I think, right now. Okay. Yeah, I need to actually, maybe I should
My middle name is Elizabeth. That's cute.
Well, I keep running it. People are asking because they're asking about it.
Svinik, I think is.
I'm not seeing it. I don't know how many times we're going to have to spin this. Kate, any suggestions on this one? Keep spinning?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
keep going.
This is not doing well for my gambling addiction,
Christopher.
Drum roll, please.
Yep. Let's go.
Fingers crossed.
I
Someone will.
volunteer to win. Teresa.
I sense
Are
Teresa.
you with us?
Let's all hold hands and try to contact Teresa.
Sleeping. I know this is pretty late if you're not here in the U.S. Oh my goodness, the suspense is killing everybody. Good grief. All right. Keep spinning. We might have to break it down to a trivia game. Somebody's going to win, and they're going to be very happy when they win.
Claudia,
you got to say I'm here if you're here. Oh my goodness. I'm starting to chew on my nails.
Well, you can also do a timeshare of the Oculus of everybody. Everybody gets like an hour.
Let's try what this is like ridiculous.
Gideon, can you make another one appear?
I
know.
I don't have the two. I have the Oculus one.
People, David Evans, are you here? All
Come
these
on,
people
David.
who are like, I'm not going to win anyway, and now they are. Good
Ina
grief.
Link is said, I'm nervous and I
Don't
already
worry,
won.
You're still gonna win it. All right, we still don't got it. Speaking of which, all right, I got to do this again. I'm not seeing it. Come on, folks.
Round, round, baby, round,
And by the way, I'm inviting you to join us on stage. Rubina, are you here? Are you kidding me right now? All right. let's try it again. Yeah, wheel of many, many turns is right. Yeah, somebody start playing Florida right round right now. This round and round we go. Where it lands, nobody knows.
In the meanwhile, speakers, take a peek in the chat.
I know. What is this? Michelle
In the
Cox,
speakers
are you
chat.
here? Oh my goodness. Kate, the team's going to have to come up with some alternative method here. I'm not. Oh, wait. We have somebody who knows Michelle Cox. Text her now. Say, get on the conference. You just want to Oculus too. All right. No, she's not here. We can't bend the rules. This is getting awkward. Gideon. This is giving you lots of time to plan for the.
Yeah.
All right.
I reckon. All right.
Miriam. Yeah, only wrong attendee list. Miriam, are you here? The suspense. Shit, is she? She is here, but she has to say she's here. We saw her earlier. She's all tapped. She probably went to grab a snack or something like this. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Keep doing it again.
Maybe just pick someone from the chat scroll and make them.
Miriam
sing.
Lelos raised hand.
She did. I think I saw it.
Yeah, Miriam Lelos raised hand.
She
Was
did.
she the one?
She raised her hand. So Miriam, you are here. And you won the Oculus 2. So congratulations. Wow, that was not.
You're so lucky.
I know, you are so lucky. And you're so lucky so many people ended up dropping off. I am going to invite you to join us here if you'd like. But while we do it, we've got one more magic trick along the way. Everybody come up on stage. Gideon, stage is yours.
Wow. Sorry.
Let's get some emojis for them. One more round of emojis for Gideon, for sure.
And if you get a lot of spam emails in the next year, it has nothing to do with you.
Thanks
okay?
for signing up for every mailing
blame
list.
you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kate and the 7 Taps team, for setting this up. Thank you to all of our speakers for being here. It was a fantastic event. Gideon, always a pleasure to co-host with you, always keeping it entertaining, always keeping it awesome. Thanks, everybody, so much. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Thursday, or it might be Friday already there, depending on where you are in the world. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Bye.
for
Thanks,
being here.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.